Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Sports Guys Iowa podcast. I'm Brandon Leonard, and I've got a usual suspect with me this evening, Jordan Cole. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you will see a new face with us. We don't have JD on tonight, but we are thrilled to have this gentleman on the show. It's a bit of a milestone for the Sports Guys Iowa team, as this is our very first special guest and first coach of a football program that we've had join the show. Joining us this evening is the head coach of the Mount Mercy football program. And yes, you heard that right, Mount Mercy football, Mr. M.D. Daniels. Coach Daniels, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join the show this evening.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on tonight. As I told you before, like I'm a huge fan what you guys are doing on social media right now. This generation is everybody's on X or Instagram, and everybody has these social media platforms. But to see you guys and what y'all doing for especially like Iowa football, it's big time. So I'm happy and excited to be on this podcast with you guys.
Well, thanks again. Like I said, we appreciate you joining in, and we're fortunate to have Jordan kind of in the backyard there in Cedar Rapids, and hopefully we can develop a good relationship and get a good following of the Mustangs moving forward, right, Jordan?
Yes, sir.
All righty. Well, we'll just kind of dive right into things, Coach. We did a little bit of recon on you before the show.
Okay.
Looks like you're a native Texan. Yeah, you played collegiately at Division III McMurray. And it looks like they were Division II, maybe your senior year, and played under the legendary Hal Mummy, one of the innovators of the air raid offense. Could you tell us a little bit more about how you got to where you're at, how you got into coaching, maybe who played a role in inspiring you to do this as a profession?
Right. So uh, I went to a really, really good high school. Brazoswood High School is just south of Houston, Texas. I had three phenomenal varsity football seasons there. Played for some phenomenal football coaches, and I went out to McMurray University in Abilene, Texas. I was one of probably 11 or 12 senior signees that went to play college football that year. And that was my first time ever being away from home. And so for me to go all the way to Abilene, there had to be a group of coaches there that really, you know, were like family to me at that time. And I went to Abilene and I had an amazing time, obviously playing for Coach Hal Mummy. And we had a stacked coaching staff. Hal Mummy was our head coach. Mason Miller, who's the O-line coach at Baylor, he was our O-line coach. Matt Mummy, that's at Colorado State, was our quarterbacks coach. Josh Creech, who's the linebackers coach at La Tech, was our linebackers coach, and to have that collective group at a small D3 school is probably unheard of. And we did phenomenal. My first 2 years we were Division III, and then my junior and senior year we made the transition to Division II. So my junior year we were Division II independent, and then my senior year we went Division II in the Lone Star, and it was phenomenal. And I didn't really have an idea that I wanted to be a coach, honestly. I went to college to be a pediatrician. Kind of midway through my sophomore year, I changed my major and wanted to go into mathematics just because pediatrics was a little tough for me at the time. And my senior year, I tore my groin. So I missed my whole senior year, and I couldn't medical redshirt at that time because I already had used it as a freshman. And my defensive coordinator and Coach Mummy was like, hey, be a student coach, finish school, you still be on scholarship, let's get you graduated. So that's what I did. That fall, I was a student coach, cut up film, washed laundry, did equipment, field setup, did all the dirty work. And a day after I graduated college, Coach Mummy and our defensive coordinator called me and say, hey, we need a defensive back coach. We're going to pay you $32,000 to be the DB's coach. And I was just like, I was blown away because I had no idea, but I guess I worked so hard for them doing the grunt work. They were like, "Hey, let's keep this young guy around." And pretty much I just took off from there. Like I just put my head down. I was loyal to everybody that I ever worked for. I grinded my way to where I was. And in 2018, uh, we got a new head coach and he brought his own staff. And so I was kind of the younger coach on the outside looking in, like, okay, what's next? And Coach Mummy calls me and was like, hey, Iowa Wesleyan's looking for a defensive coordinator. do you want me to make a phone call for her? I was like, Coach, yeah, I would love to stay in college and keep working. And so he made a call, got her interview. First time I ever left the state, went to Mount
Wow.
Pleasant, Iowa. And I would tell you this, I had never seen, this was in the summer of 2019. I have never seen such beautiful green grass in my entire life. The corn stalks were so high that it was flush green, and I was like, wow, this is way different than Texas. So I get here, had a phenomenal, I say defensive year that year. As a team, we weren't very good. Our head coach got let go midway through the year. And so I just moved here 2 months ago. Our head coach got let go. I'm like, this is a repeat of 2018. Like, I don't know what's about to happen. I was very fortunate to get the job. And like I said, I've always kind of been, I've always been a loyal coach. Like, I'm gonna take care of those guys that have been with me, whether they were GA or part-time coaches. If I make it, they make it. And everybody that I ever worked for or been around has been people that have played for me or coached with me that understand like, hey, they've been loyal to me. I'm gonna continue to be loyal to them. And so that was the first thing I did when I got the head job was hire people that I really know and that have been in the trenches with me through thick and thin. And we started getting things in place at Wesleyan. My first year we went 2-9 in that transition from D3 to NAIA. And then we went 4-7 the next year, which is the most Wesleyan had won in like 15 years, which is crazy to say. And we went from 96 in the country in NAI defense to 17th in one season. And so to go from there and to see the progress that our kids were doing, not only on the field, but community service, GPA wise, I was like, this is going to be remarkable in the next couple of years at Wesleyan. And then the school decides it wants to close. So my wife, she was 7 months pregnant with our first kid, and she worked at the university as well. And so we both lost our job the same day. And we were very fortunate that we have met some really great people along the way. Mike Jasper, shout out to Coach Jasper. He's the head coach at Stetson University in Deland, Florida now. But he was at Bethel. Called me, was very sad about the situation that was going on. Got me a job to pay me what I was making as a head coach. Got my wife a job at Bethel University and allowed us to kind of speed up the background check process so that we could start like in the next week or so that we both can have insurance for, our kid and all those things. And I mean, we got there and he was phenomenal. The 2 years we were there, we had a lot of success at Bethel University, winning a lot of football games, and just being able to learn and work with other coaches that have had so much success really brought me back to kind of this point where I am right now in my career, where it's like I get the opportunity to be a head coach again. And so I'm very, very grateful for the people that I have worked for, and the people that have kind of helped develop me into the person and coach I am, because without those coaches, I'm not standing here before you, as the new head coach at Mount Mercy.
That's awesome. I sounds like your connections go. I mean, they just run deep, and good karma's followed you. Being loyal to everyone, like you said. I mean, it's just one heck of a coaching tree that it seems like Coach Mummy has established. It's
Mhm.
Mike Leach. Obviously, it seems like is the big one that comes to
Yeah,
name, but
for
it
sure.
just the roots that it goes through. It sounds like you're the perfect guy for the job here in Cedar Rapids to lead the Mustangs. Jordan, you had some things you wanted to address here with Coach Daniels, correct?
Yeah, you did touch on your like full circle Iowa moment, how you made the transition from Texas up to the beautiful city of Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and then had to leave, and fortunately you're back here in Cedar Rapids. Just kind of, can you tell how you were like approached about this Mount Mercy opportunity and what made you want to take on this? You go from a university closing their program to now you're fresh boots on the ground to starting something big at Mount Mercy.
Yeah, so um, if you look at my coaching, like I've only had 3 jobs in my whole coaching tenure, and one of them I wasn't closing down. I planned to be at Mount Pleasant for 20, 25 years before all that happened. I've never been one of those guys that believed in job hopping. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna put roots down. I'm gonna build something that, we talk about legacy, right? Like that my family and my kids can be super proud of. So we finished the 2024 season at Bethel. Uh, and I really wasn't in the process of looking for anything. The search firm that was doing the interviewing reached out to me through a mutual friend that I had worked for at Iowa Wesleyan. He knew the AD at Iowa Wesleyan, and that person called me and was like, "Hey, this was late, like November." And I do remember seeing the job posted in early October, but like I said, I'm really happy at where I'm at Bethel. And I was like, so I talked to my wife about it, and she loved Mount Pleasant. She really loved Mount Pleasant. And for the fact that we shopped in Iowa City, Coralville, we've been to Cedar Rapids, we were very familiar with how Iowa worked in the area. I was like, okay, maybe it might be time. God might be showing us like, hey, this is the opportunity you might need, get to redo some of the stuff that you couldn't finish at Iowa Wesleyan. Because I was heartbroken. I cried for like 2 days when Iowa Wesleyan decided it was going to shut down, because we had poured so much into the school and the community. And I reached out to the search firm. They got me an interview, and I thought I did so bad. I just thought I did so bad, but I did pretty well. Got on campus, did a really good job. And the crazy thing is the day I get the call, the job offer, our head coach at Bethel, Mike Jasper, gets the Stetson head coaching job. And so there was hey, do you go be the offensive coordinator at Stetson, FCS, or do you go with where your heart and your family's like, hey, this is more of my calling than it is being like a D1 coach. And so we prayed about it. I talked to my wife, and then it was like, hey, you didn't get to finish what you started at Iowa Wesleyan, right? This is your opportunity to really dive headfirst and really build this program from the ground up and be the first coach to do it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I called our AD back, Mr. Paul Gavin. I accepted the job, and my feet and my mind have not stopped since I touched down January 6th of 2025.
That's
Yeah, it's
awesome. Yeah, I love that, and it's an awesome opportunity. I'm sure you're well aware, but the state of Iowa, some of the most successful football programs are the ones that recruit in state. They retain local talent. Look at Division III Wartburg. We did an article about them, and goodness, I can't remember how many kids they have on their roster. It is an absurd amount, but a vast majority are from the state of Iowa. You'll see a ton of them from NAIA, Grandview. They retain a lot of in-state talent. Um, what are some goals that you have starting up this program? I know you've done some scrimmages. You just had one yesterday with St. Ambrose. You've been very active on the recruiting trail, trying to retain this in-state talent. It seems. What can the fans expect when the Mustangs finally take the field officially in 2026 when they play your first game?
Uh, so I'm gonna give you two parts to this. So
That
when
was
I
a
was at
lot. That was a lot there.
it's okay. When I was at Iowa Wesleyan, the three years I was there as a head coach, we had 5 kids from Iowa on our roster. 98% of our kids were from out of state. I didn't know Iowa at the time. I'm coming from Texas. That's what I knew. And so we had a lot of kids from Texas and California and from some southern states. And that was one thing I told myself, I got the opportunity to come back to Iowa, I would do differently, because there are phenomenal programs in Iowa: Morningside, Northwestern, Dordt, Grandview, Wartburg, Central, Dubuque. Like there are some phenomenal colleges and universities. But I think when I look back at some of the newer programs that have started up and where they are regionally located, you look at Grandview in Des Moines, the talent pool that's in Des Moines is remarkable, right? You got Sioux City where Morningside is, it's a bigger city, right? Very rich talent. And then you have Cedar Rapids where Co College has done a phenomenal job for so many years of keeping local talent here. And now you get Mount Mercy football, that's NAI, can offer athletic scholarships. And there's kids that have probably wanted to come back home. Just the financial resources probably may have not been there. So what we're going to do is we're going to really hone in on this eastern side of the state. And we basically mapped it off and we're calling it, this is Mustang country. Like this whole eastern border from Cedar Rapids all the way up, all the way down through Mount Pleasant. We're going to own this entire territory. Now, we may lose a kid here and there to, Grandview and Morningside because they are phenomenal schools. But for the most part, we're going to keep some of these kids here. And and it's funny that you talk about the recruiting because our right tackle, Carter Holmes, signed, he's from Benton Community, signed to University of South Dakota. He was at South Dakota all summer. They had a coaching change. He decided to come back home. He's our right tackle, right? So those kids like that say, man, like I had a phenomenal conversation with Coach Daniels and his staff. This is the plan they have for me. I can see myself being very successful, and they have an amazing nursing program. We will be able to get those type of players that can really impact us. And then you're talking about the transfers that want to come home that we can add, right? So I see this being a very lucrative opportunity for those type of players and for our program. But you're going to see a hard-nosed brand of football. Jordan, you were at the game yesterday. Our guys fly around. They hit. We caused 4 or 5 different turnovers yesterday. We have some very fast, skilled guys that can fly. Right now we're working out a quarterback battle right now between Ty Bell, who's from Solon, a phenomenal high school program, and then we have a kid from Texas that they're both battling it out. And I think we have a very, very, very good group of freshmen that are coming in. But we also know too that we're going to have to get some transfers in some key spots so that we can be successful. Our first game next year is against Baker University and down in Kansas, and they're a top 25 NAI team. You can't roll in there with all 11 sitting at freshmen. So we're going to have to do a really good job in the recruiting trail. And we are invested in Iowa, plain and simple. I think the things that we're doing with recruiting are different than other programs. And I think kids are starting to see that because we go all in. How we meet with parents, the panels, the different panels we're doing. I've coached at D3 schools, NAI schools, D2 schools. It's not the same. And the investment in doing home visits is really, really big. I mean, we're going in and sit in front of these parents at their home. And a lot of schools aren't doing that. They're social media recruiting or they only get on the phone calls. I'm coming to see you at your home, right? And which has given us a little bit of edge. We got 11 commits right now. 11 commits, 2 transfers that are already invested in what we're building for the future of Mount Mercy football.
You got me ready to run through a wall and play for the Mustangs. And I went to the other school in town. I'm a co-hawk myself, and that's how I ended up running into Jordan. John, our co-host, his son played at football, or played football at Coast. So, no, like you said, a lot of talent here, and kudos to you for trying to lock it down and making that Mustang territory. That's got me revved up. So, I think we're kind of getting to the end here, Coach. Jordan, I think you had one last softball you wanted to throw him, just kind of maybe get to know Coach Daniels on a just a little bit more personal level.
Yeah, we'll go local here. I know you said you just landed January 6th, but you found any local food joints you like around town here in Cedar Rapids?
Hey, let me tell you this. The last 2 places I lived at McKenzie, Tennessee, we had a Sonic and a McDonald's. And then in Mount Pleasant, we had a KFC, a Taco Bell, and a McDonald's. So that's not a big variety of places. The first place my wife and it's just so cliche, but the first place we came to when we got in town was Chick-fil-A. It took
we're big fans.
We had to drive an hour just to go to a Chick-fil-A. Every place we've been, and it's like, oh my goodness. Now it's like I'm tired of Chick-fil-A. So we try to eat a different place every time we go. I'm a big Mexican fan. I love Mexican food, authentic Mexican food. So we try to hit the little mom and pop shops, here in Cedar Rapids and just eat as much. And I can always tell how good the food's going to be at Mexican restaurants by the salsa. That if the salsa is good, then I know the food's gonna be good. If the sauce is
Mhm.
kind of watery, not very, doesn't have like any spice to it, then I know the food's not gonna be where it needs to be. So I love food. I'm a foodie. I can barbecue. That's another big one too. Is Mount Pleasant didn't have barbecue, but Tennessee was very known for barbecue. So then I come to Cedar Rapids and man, there's like 6 or 7 barbecue joints. I'm like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
So
What's that one? Is it Willie Ray's Rib Shack? Is that the?
yeah,
I was gonna say
yep.
that's the one that's on my bucket list. I
Yeah,
know he does a lot
and
of
it's
great
good. Now,
work.
obviously, barbecue's a little expensive, but every time
Right.
I get a chance, I love food. And one thing that we're working on right now is trying to get some sponsorships for our football program because NAIA I think they passed this where you can get sponsorships on your jerseys, on your uniforms, and so
Uh-huh.
we're kind of working on that to where we can get some sponsorships to help with like some NIL deals and some scholarship budgetary stuff. So. Hopefully nobody that's watching it steals that idea, but we're working hard at it.
I love that. I think you're going to find, I mean, you probably already have found it that the state of Iowa loves to give back. They love to
Mhm.
support Iowans. So I'm sure you'll probably have someone or multiple people reach out to you to try to establish some sponsorships and
For
help out your
sure.
squads. So, I'm excited. Again, thank you so much for coming on and being a milestone. You said it was your first podcast.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
our first podcast for the coach. Really appreciative. Again, I talked about I went to Co in Cedar Rapids, and they used to play in basketball at Mount Mercy, and Co did. And I remember the chant would always be, there's a lot of times Mount Mercy would get the better of us, and we'd always just chant back, "Let's play football." So it's cool to see that now, the Mustangs can play a little football. I don't know, probably never going to see the Cohawks and Mustangs
Hey,
officially
never,
play.
you never,
Never
never
say
know.
never, though.
Coach Staker and I have been on the phone. We've been talking. There
Oh,
might be some stuff in the future. You never
hey,
know.
Wow.
I'd love to see that. I'll put a bug in his ear. I used to help out with the program and be a pain with him. I gotta be a cameraman and assistant running back coach was my unofficial title with Coach Northern there, who's still with the program. So
Hmm.
a great program, and I think collaborating with him and bouncing some ideas with him could be beneficial for all parties. So
For sure. For
um,
sure.
but yeah, we won't take up any more of your time, Coach. Again, thank you so much for being with us. Best of luck to the Mustangs. You had the scrimmage yesterday. I think that was the last one of the year, correct?
Yep. Last one. Last one.
Okay.
Good. Now we're in off-season mode. Strength and conditioning, baby.
There you
Strength
go.
conditioning, hitting, looking for some, it's never been a better time to, tap into the transfer portal, it seems like.
Right.
So hopefully that can come to fruition with you and you guys can get some more ponies here. So um, again, thanks again so much. And thanks again to our audience for following along. We hope you enjoyed this and we'll be sure to collaborate more with Coach Daniels in the future.
Yeah. Thank y'all for coming. Hey, go Stangs.
That's right. Go Snags.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes. Thank you.